Okay, so this is week 2, CIT 15, and we're looking at chapter 9 in the textbook. Sorry, this is week 9. This is video 2 of week 9, and we're looking at chapter 9 in the textbook. And in this chapter, we're going to see how to identify theft as committed and the types of scams identity thieves perpetrate, describe different types of hackers and the tools they use, explain what a computer virus is, why it is a threat to your security, and how a computing device catches a virus and the symptoms it may display. List the different categories of computer viruses and describe their behaviors. Explain what malware, spam, and cookies are and how they impact your security. And describe social engineering techniques, very interesting, and explain strategies to avoid falling prey to them. Explain what a firewall is and how a firewall protects your computer from hackers. Explain how to protect your computer from virus infection. Describe how passwords and biometric characteristics can be used for user authentication. Describe ways to surf the web anonymously. Describe the types of information you should never share online. List various types of backups you can perform on your computing device and explain various places you can store backup files. Explain the negative effects environment and power surges can have on computing devices and describe the major concerns when a device is stolen and strategies for solving the problems. So it's 33 slides. Let's see what we got. So identity theft and hackers, cybercrime, cybercriminals, common types of cyber crimes. So cyber is just another word for like internet, World Wide Web, cyberspace. Those are all synonyms and interchangeable. And anybody who's a cyber criminal is doing cyber crime, so they're doing online crime. And it's just criminals on the web, criminals on the internet. Industries respond to the threat, has strong cybersecurity, compliant with OWASP's top 10 policies. So manufacturing has 81% has strong cybersecurity and 35% compliant with OWASP top 10 policies. So I imagine this is some organization for, being secure online. Financial services, government, not so secure, right? Doesn't have strong cybersecurity. Technology, interesting, not so secure. I don't know what that slide is, not too interesting. Occurs when a thief steals personal information and poses as you. So that's identity theft, right? Somebody pretends they're you. They've stolen your identity. They're pretending they're you. They're going around saying they're you. They're buying cars as you, even though they're not. They have all the fake identification. They're presenting themselves as you. And then they disappear with all of the stuff they've purchased in your name, right? You've got funding for, and you're left with the bills to pay. And so that's identity theft. And so identity theft occurs when a thief steals personal information and poses as you. So most financially damaging cybercrime for individuals. So, what would they need? They need to be able to access your credit. And so if your credit's frozen, they won't be able to get loans or buy things with financing. So freezing your credit is a really good thing to do to prevent that. They'd also need to know things like your mother's maiden name, your driver's license number, your social security number. So keeping that private and not sharing that widely or easily is also important. So types of scams: counterfeiting credit and debit cards, requesting changes of address, opening new credit cards, obtaining medical services, buying a home. I don't know how they disappear with a home once they buy a home. Maybe they buy it and then resell it. I don't know what they do. Identity theft and hacking. Hackers, anyone who unlawfully breaks into a computer system. And types of hackers, there's white hat hackers. So they test systems to see if they could be broken into. That's their job. Black hat hackers are ones that are like out there doing harm. And then gray hackers kind of, do a little bit of both. Packet analyzer, so as information gets sent over a network, there's software called packet analyzers that could look at the little pieces of information flying over the network. They're also called sniffers. And a keylogger is a piece of software that could run on your computer. So as you type, it logs all the keystrokes you're typing. So that's and then it sends that information to whoever installed that software on your computer. So that's a bit compromising. A Trojan horse is a type of virus, and it appears to be a useful piece of software, but it runs malicious code in the background. So it could be like a keylogger. like maybe install some little game on your computer, and you get to play that game, but in the background it also installed something to log in anytime you type in a password, and then it's getting your passwords, right? Scary. Backdoor programs and rootkits allow hackers to gain access to a computer. Zombies are computers that a hacker controls. So they might install software on millions of computers, and then they might ask those millions of computers to all at the same time start requesting, the webpage from whitehouse.gov. And then because so many requests are coming in asking for that information, the server becomes overwhelmed and legitimate requests don't get fulfilled. And that's called a denial of service attack. And so legitimate users are denied access to a computer system. The system shuts down. And DDoS is, let's see what that stands for. DDoS meaning distributed denial of service attack. So that's the same deal. It's just like all these computers are coming from all over the place. A botnet's a large group of software running on zombie computers. Interesting. Exploit kits, software that runs on servers searching for vulnerabilities. Logical ports are virtual, not physical communications paths. So here we have like your computer, and there's different ports that information comes in. They're kind of like doors or windows. So port 21 is FTP, port 25 is email, port 80 is the internet, a website request. Telnet's port 23, DNS is port 53. Right? So, exploit kits might look for doors that are left open on computers where they shouldn't have been left open and find other vulnerabilities. And so they're looking at, part of what they look at are the different ports. And, they're just, they're not actually physical openings in the computer. They're just logical, so you need to kind of meet certain communication standards for the network to be able to use them. And exploit kits look for ones that aren't, secured or locked down. Viruses. A virus is a program that attaches to a computer program to spread to other computers. So it's just like we spread viruses as humans. Somebody gets cold, then passes it on to somebody else. Likewise, a virus is a program that's meant to be passed on from one computer to another. Attaches to a computer, and then it spreads to other computers. The main purpose is to replicate itself and copy its code into as many other host files as possible. Secondary objectives can be destructive. And smartphones and tablets can be infected with viruses. Any computer can be infected with viruses. Just a piece of software, right? That, that's built to spread from machine to machine. So there's all kinds of different viruses that are out there, but the main thing you need to know is that the viruses are built, some of them are built to do malicious harm. And, so here's you could pause the video and just, read some of these descriptions of some of the different viruses. Classified by methods used to avoid detection. Polymorphic viruses change their code or periodically rewrite themselves to avoid detection. Multi-part-type viruses are designed to infect multiple file types. And stealth viruses temporarily erase their code from the files where they reside and hide in active memory. That's interesting. Online annoyances and social engineering. So malware is software that has malicious intent. So many viruses are also malware. Adware is software that displays sponsored advertisements. Spyware is unwanted piggyback software. Transmits information, uses tracking cookies, keystroke logger. So this could again be like a Trojan horse. So these are just different terms you'll hear. You don't need to know them all or memorize them all. Main thing is just kind of get a sense of what viruses are here. And some viruses are just, they're spread from computer to computer, and some of them are malicious, right? Imagine most of them are. Otherwise, why would they create them? So anyhow, and there's all kinds of categories, and adware is, just for displaying ads. So that's not quite as malicious, or for blocking the, display of ads. And spyware is like for spying on you, which is also malicious. Let's look up the definition of adware just to make sure that we got that right. Adware defined. Software that automatically displays or downloads advertising material when a user is online. Yeah, so there we go. And then we have ad blocker software is what I was getting that confused with. And ad blocker software is prevents advertisements from appearing with content the user. Yeah, so sometimes I look at people's computers and it's like, man, what is all this junk showing on their computer? How'd they get all these ads on here? All right, so spam is unwanted software or junk email. And then there's tactics to minimize spam, like having a spam filter. Other thing, online annoyances and social engineering. Cookies are small text files received when you visit a website. I don't really think that they're a big threat, but you often see that. And so there's the server, like Google, and then there's your machine. And then, there's various ways that they could kind of maintain state. It's known as maintaining state. But there's various ways that each time you make a request, they know it's you. And you're sending some kind of unique code every time to the server. And that unique code identifies you to the server. And so that's how they know it's you, because a request comes in, the response is made, the connection's dropped. Well, when your next request comes in, how do they know it's you again? You have to say, hi, it's me, Todd again, right? And the way that happens digitally with computers is they send some unique code. And so that unique code is often stored in a cookie on your computer. The server, Google, will put a unique code there. And then every time you make a request, that unique code goes to the server. And then they know, okay, this is coming from that person. And so that's stored in cookies. So a cookie's a little storage space that servers are allowed to write a little bit of text information. It's not a big deal. But then they could start to really track you. That's the big deal, right? And they could know a lot about you and what you're doing. And then if they have an advertising network like big companies, Facebook and Google or Microsoft, right? They could, see what other companies are, companies they're affiliated with write cookies, and then they could see what sites you're going to, and so that you lose some privacy information. So that's what cookies are, and they help companies determine the effectiveness of their marketing. They do not search your hard drive for personal information. You can lose privacy about other places you go and what your behavior is like, but they don't really pose a security threat. That's what cookies are. And then social engineering is any technique using social skills to generate information, right, through human interaction. And so what social engineering might look like is somebody might call you up and say, hey, I'm Tom. I'm from Microsoft. There's an important update, and we realize your computer, we see here at Microsoft that your computer doesn't have it. Are you at your computer right now? Can I help you install this update? Because we want to make sure you're safe and secure. Yes, go ahead, Tom. Help me, right? And then they're like, okay, go here, download this, install it. Okay, you're safe, right? But really what they did is they just, using social engineering, they misled somebody and got them to install some malicious software that maybe now allows them to watch what that person's doing to capture passwords for bank accounts and things like that. So that's an example of social engineering. Pretexting involves creating a scenario that sounds legitimate. So that would be like, I'm Tom from Microsoft. That would be my pretext. Phishing is luring people into revealing personal information. Farming is malicious code planted on a computer to gather information. And guidelines to avoid schemes. Right? Is just be careful what you share. So farming, let's look that up. Let's see what the internet says about farming. The process of genetically modifying plants, fraudulent practice of directing internet users to bogus website that mimics the appearance of a legitimate one in order to obtain personal information such as password or account numbers. All right, so you're like, oh, I guess I'll log in, but it's a fake website, even if it looks just like the other one. Scareware is malicious software, malware that attempts to convince you something is wrong and to pay money to fix it, right? So I don't know what that is. You could read that example. All kinds of scams out there. Firewall is software or hardware designed to protect computers from hackers. Windows and Mac OS include firewalls. And security suites include firewall software. So data packets, filtered packets. So a firewall could be set to allow certain information through and not other information. And so some of the things you could do is filter out packets sent to logical ports. Logical port blocking completely refuses requests from the internet asking for access to specific reports. And network address translation, assign IP addresses on a network. So more networking level stuff, not totally important to know. Antivirus software detects viruses and protects your computer from viruses. And popular programs are Symantec, Trend Micro, and Avast. Virus signature is a portion of the virus code that's unique to a particular computer virus. Quarantining, placing virus in a secure area so it won't spread to other files. Inoculation records key attributes about your computer files and keeps stats in a secure place. So that's just some of what antivirus software does. So you want to keep your operating system up to date. It's the main takeaway from that slide. You want to have strong passwords. We already talked about that. You want to have uppercase, lowercase, numeric, and symbols in your password, and they should be at least 18 characters long. 18. Biometric authentication. What you have, what you know, who you are. It's the who you are part. So these are the different ways, some of the ways you could do biometric recognition. Privacy tools. So in browsers, you have private browsing, right? You could be like incognito mode. And, that prevents any information being permanently stored on your computer, though information you share about yourself online still goes to other people if you share it. Like logging in at Google in incognito mode, they will then know it's you. And they'll still be tracking you even though you're in incognito mode, but nothing will be stored on your computer. Portable privacy devices, virtual private networks we talked about. So you want to reveal as little information as possible. And in Facebook, change your privacy settings. So never give any of this information out to anybody. And here's other sensitive information. And backups, copies of files used. You want to back up everything, right, as much as possible. And then it's always good to use a surge protector. There's occasionally power surges that could damage your hardware. And keep your mobile phone from being stolen. Keep data secure in case it is stolen. And how do you find a device if it is stolen? Some devices have a tracking element on them that you could then, see where your device is located at. You could get software that does that too. So you might Google it for your phone and see if there's some way to track your device if it's ever stolen. It's chapter 9. I'm not a big fan of the textbook PowerPoints, but I think it's kind of also interesting to go through them at the same time. Okay, I hope you're having a good week. I thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you next week where we will do something new.